Impression management is the effort people make to manage their public self-concept. In other words, to make it appear more ideal. Let's look at 5 different impression management effects, and in particular, how they play out in sales. You don't need to write all 5 of these down right now because we're going to cover them one at a time, starting with appearance management. Appearance management refers to how we control our physical appearance and surroundings. Clearly, we choose how we dress and groom for public situations, but in what ways do we manage our surroundings? Notice how politicians always seem to have the American flag propped in the background. Professors display more books in their offices. Yes, I'm guilty too. And children decorate their rooms with colorful posters of their idols. Do props really affect our impressions of others? Let's look at the Guns N' Roses study by May and Carlston. Yes, yours truly also. So May and Carlston in 2007, you don't need to memorize that year, but what we did is we found that people who had a flag in the background were judged as more patriotic, and if they had a rose in the background, it's more romantic, a gun as more violent, etc., etc., etc. And surprisingly, even when viewers knew that the objects were not theirs. Companies often hire salespeople who are attractive, dress well, and in office situations display pictures of their family, sometimes even fake family pictures, to appear personable. One of the tactics people use to get others to like them is ingratiation, which means bestowing flattery, right? With ingratiation, the praise and compliments, whether genuine or not, are designed to make someone feel good about his or herself. We tend to like people who view us positively, so this is a powerful effect. A salesperson might greet you by saying, "I like your hairstyle. Did you get it done around here?" We are most vulnerable to compliments regarding things of which we are uncertain. For instance, if we are not sure if the suit looks good on us because we lack an aesthetic eye or fashion, we might be more vulnerable to compliments about that suit. Have you ever been in a noisy environment, perhaps a party, with a drink in one hand, hors d'oeuvre in the other, surrounded by loud music and chatter, and still managed to hear someone across the room mention your name? There's research showing that, in short, there is no word that draws our attention more than our own name. When others remember our names, it makes us feel important. In fact, people tend to rate the letters contained in their name more favorably than other letters of the alphabet, and even often marry others with similar first or last names. So we see this more often than what we would predict from chance. Most common marital pairings that we see are things like Patrick with a Patricia. Salespeople are trained to learn client names early on and to use them often during their interaction. We tend to like people who are like us. Remember that phrase, birds of a feather flock together, right? In this vein, another strategy some people use for gaining favor with others is called self-monitoring. People who routinely modify their behavior and speech to match those of others are known as high self-monitors. Conversely, people who act primarily on the basis of their internal beliefs and attitudes are known as low self-monitors. Thus, high self-monitors tend to be social chameleons, mirroring the speech and behavior of those around them. Self-monitoring or any non-genuine expression can backfire if it becomes transparent. But it's easier for salespeople to get away with this tactic because you generally don't know them well, have not observed them in different situations. So it's generally easier for them to get away with self-monitoring. And then finally, handicapping is an interesting impression management tactic people sometimes use to set themselves up to avoid being viewed negatively by others. You may say to your friends, "I've never played tennis before, but sure, I'd love to give it a try." By setting low expectations, otherwise known as a handicap, there are only two possible outcomes. One, you don't do well, but to no surprise or disappointment of others, but hey, you sure were a great sport, right? Or two, you exceed their expectations. You do okay. Wow, and you've never played before? So how is this used in marketing? A salesperson might say, "I've never heard of our product being used for that purpose before, but wow, it'd be awesome if it worked." Or your restaurant server might respond to, "What do you think of this new entree?" with saying, "I've personally not had a chance to try it yet, but I just served it to another customer who loved it."